let me scoot this down. And then, and just do step by step. I don't know how it goes. Just, let me see. What am I missing here? I need my 1/4-inch impact. I'll use. Is it at the shop? I don't know, man. I must have a lot of the stuff's at the shop, man. So I don't have a lot of my regular tools. So, yeah, it could have popped up on the edge, right? Yep. All right, well, I'm going to skedaddle off the phone. So, yeah, man. I need to. I'm sure people are going to come in and start asking questions soon. So. I'll see what battery like this thing has. Green. All right, this is green. All right, here we go. Step by step. All right, brother. I'll talk to you later. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Later. All right, ladies and germs who have joined. This is literally going to be a step-by-step removal of a cylinder head. Now, unfortunately, I have already removed the turbo. So, but for those of you who haven't done it, I do recommend that you can do this with the bumper on. Remove the upper rad support to do your turbo removal. So, that just makes life a whole lot easier. So I'm literally going to bag, tag, and do everything. And you guys are more than welcome to ask questions along the way. So if you have questions about the procedure, maybe the time frame, what it takes. Also remember, sometimes when you have other components in the car that aren't OEM, that does change labor. So again, it's just a live as part one. Probably going to be 2 parts because this is not a simple removal and it's not like all the way done. Literally, the only thing that's been done is the turbo has been removed at this point. So, like I said, I bag and tag everything. And that's how I do it. It's just the nature of recent being is because when you bag and tag everything and you go to put it back together, there's no question of what's next. You don't do things twice. You don't leave parts out. You don't leave bolts out. You don't leave bolts loose, which is what happens with a lot of other FK8 thrillers, unfortunately. So the first thing for me is to remove the sway bar. Now, unfortunately, somebody has removed the pin here for this sway bar. So for those of you that do have a sway bar and you remove this pin, if you remove these bolts, what's going to often happen is it's going to shift. So in order to at least make sure that I don't have a problem, this hole here, I will scribe the inside edge of that hole so that I know where the strut goes back. So obviously that's a pretty simple removal. I should use a good deep well socket for this. I'm not using any crazy tools either because all my pro stuff is at the other shop right now. So some of you do know I have unfortunately turned out anemia, so I'm a little bit weak. But so the trick is to not move the car, don't touch anything, and make sure you put the bolts back when you're done. So that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny, brother. So I'm going to glance over it. I might be stuck in collar for a little bit. Now, again, do not touch anything on the car. Do not lean against it. Nothing. Literally, get these bolts back down right away because you do not want this to shift because it will completely mess up the alignment. This side has a pin on it, so this side's not an issue. We don't need to go hammer super tight, but we need to make sure that they're down. Now, unfortunately, I can see because the scribe line yet this did not move, so it will not mess the alignment. Now, what I do is, of course, I lost the socket. That's all right. I'll get that in a second. This does not want to stay on. So let me switch guns because it does not want to stay on that gun. Unfortunately, I think that hog ring on that gun is just shot. Let me get a magnet. Yeah, and that happens too. you know, you'll get it where it's just no good no more, and it will not hold the socket. So now you can see I was able to remove that strut bar, and then still the alignment stayed. This is literally a live head removal, step by step, and I'm going to go over step by step. So for me, I'm literally going to categorize everything. Even though I've done this so many times, I'm still going to bag and tag everything. So it may take me a little longer to remove, but it takes me a lot less time to put it back together. So at this point, I'm going to have to remove the battery tray, the charge pipe, all that stuff on the side here. I'm not going to get to the coolant just yet, but this is where I start. I was charging the battery because the battery died from sitting for so long. And it just seems like these sockets just do not hold on the end of these. What the heck? All right, you know what? Let me get a different socket set. We'll just do this way. Yeah, see, this stays on. I don't know what's up with that socket set, but just does not seem to hold well, unfortunately. Generally with the battery, you got to obviously make sure your doors are unlocked and everything. Well, you can leave the door locked, but I tell you, on the, I think it's the 2019s, somebody might want to quote me on this. Some of them from the factory key to unlock the door was not actually put on. So if your battery dies, you can't get the door open because they literally forgot to put it on. So next is going to be battery removal. Obviously very easy. Again, this is also just open discussion too. You know, nothing too crazy. I literally had that in my hand a second ago, and I literally set it down. Yeah, it's up there. All right, so this is going to go gallon size Ziploc. So what I will do is I will mark this by number. So this is going to be third step. It's going to be battery and battery trays. And tray. I mean, super simple procedure. I mean, so obviously I'm not done with this because I still have to remove the other stuff from the tray area. Unfortunately, so nobody ever has like a guide for this, right? They just never did it. Really should be using the 1/4-inch one. This 1/4-inch fits a lot better in there. Unfortunately, I should have brought my 1/4-inch impact one, but I did not. So there are, on the battery tray, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 10-millimeter bolts, and then you have that are facing downward. You also have this little extension tray for the support on the battery. This has to come off. I'll show you guys the tray when it comes out so you get an idea of where the bolts are. I wish I had another person here so I could show you guys exactly what I'm doing. But that's as high as I can get the computer. Unfortunately, I could not get the computer any higher up, not without risking it falling over the ground. And the computer was the thing that holds the most amount of battery. Nice. It sounds like the battery's dying. Yeah, it is. Red. plenty of batteries. All right, so now that that's out, you can see that tray, and this tray sat. Of course, I gotta go get that bolt. Sat like this. All right, you get back here, you 10 millimeter. So, I'm obviously not gonna jam this tray in here, but what I will do is I have these wonderful containers that I use. These. I have lots of these, and now we'll put the parts and bags inside here. That is how I make sure that I keep perfect organization of all parts. So I don't need to remove the lower tray, but what I do need to do next is remove the charge pipe bracket and the charge pipe. So that will be next on the list. Charge. So I put CP bracket, right? And CP with VC pump hose, because the vacuum pump hose has to come off too. So let me get some needle nose pliers. I forgot to get those. I generally like some nice needle nose pliers like so. So little 45s and a 90. These generally help you get into other places. I don't really use pliers like this too much, but I will from time to time. Now, depending on your charge pipe setup, like the PRL has 12 millimeter bolts. I believe that's the OEMs. So all I'm going to do is just make sure I get all the vacuum lines off, because I'm going to be sitting there with the pump here too, this vacuum pump. Car hasn't run a while, so, but if your car's been running, you'll hear a push, like you'll hear the vacuum like suction out of here. That's, you'll know that it's sealed really good. And if I sound out of breath, it is because I am anemic. So I had some blood work done recently because I was feeling extremely exhausted, like nonstop, just completely out of breath around the clock. And it was really getting to me. And turns out, apparently, I happen to be anemic. So, and that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Now, for the charge pipe bracket, you'll either have two 10 millimeter or 12 millimeter bolts facing vertically into the charge pipe, and you will have two 12 millimeter bolts facing this way into the block. And one 10 millimeter bolt, or possibly two, depending if you have a bracket here. There's another bracket that I'll try to explain once I remove this. That should probably make my life easier. Bringing this a little bit closer. And lock the wheels on this thing. Where's the locks? There we go. All right. Now, and then what was I missing? One 10 millimeter. So there's a 10 millimeter that holds the heater hoses on the bottom. All right. Now, I have magnetic trays, but I'm using the cart. So generally, trying to use it more like what people would use. So we see here we have the two 12 millimeter bolts that will face down, the 10 millimeter to the side, and the two 12 millimeters that go into the cylinder head. So that easily fits inside of a gallon size bag. And I just mark because I'm on step 4, part number 4. Now, obviously, I'm not going to mark every single nut bolt step by step by step. The best thing you could do is try to group things together when you do this. You know, and again, don't just go throw it all in a box. That's a terrible idea. So, yeah. Well, no, I'm not going to do the port. I'm doing the port work and cams. I'm not going to do the port work on camera. At least not direct pictorial view of it. But, you know, I may show some stuff. But, you know, obviously, I've worked hard to figure out what works and what doesn't work with ported heads. So, oh, those are 10s. Interesting choice of coupler. Now, There's going to have your clamp on your throttle body. Don't forget to disconnect your map sensor. There's a three wire plug down in here. You do not want to forget to disconnect that. You'll mess that up. I undid the clamp too much there. That's still going to go in that baggie. Looks like somebody put a heavy duty 10 millimeter clamp on top. I don't know if this was OEM or just replaced for some reason. A little bit overkill. What's on the throttle body? What type? Also a 10 millimeter. Now, with the throttle body, I like to go, when I do put this on, I like to make sure that I can just go vertical down onto it like this with a long extension. That's always the easiest way to make sure to get to the clamp so that you always have easy access. If you do it on the other side, if you put that clamp on the other side, often what will happen is you'll end up against this part of the clamp ends up against the actual connector and wedges. And that can often make the clamp move from where you want it. So just keep that in mind when you're putting that together. That's just a tip from doing it for like 20 years. So, oh wow, this thing's been on here a while. Oof. All right. Wow, these couplers have been on here for a minute. So obviously I don't need to remove the bottom. This is like overkill. So I'm probably, just because this is so overkill, I don't like, because these will bite so hard they could possibly cut the hose. I'm probably going to change it to a different style clamp. But in the meantime, that's enough for this bag. And there's step number 4. Now, by the time I'm done, I will probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of 30-ish steps, maybe more. 30-ish, somewhere around there. So, this kind of is what it is. Now, let me see here. There are things I'll leave in the car, like the throttle body can stay in the car, but I will obviously take the manifold out. Let me see. What is the next best step? I guess the next best step is going to be the manifold, right? Like, that's your next best step. So, unfortunately, there's some things I cannot. Man, I really wish I had somebody to hold the camera. It would really be awesome to show you guys. Unfortunately, so there is a 4-wire map sensor on the manifold, right in the middle. You got to undo that plug. Then there's a vacuum line on the back here that is connected to the manifold, and this vacuum line goes to the actual brake booster and to the vacuum pump because it's teed off in the vacuum hoses. So you know that that's where that goes. Then you have, I won't be able to show this, you have the little tiny one for the bypass valve. But you'll know it's the bypass valve because it's got a little hose. It goes to a solenoid, and then there's 2 hoses coming out of that. You do not need to unplug that solenoid, but you do need to unclip the wire harness. And what I mean by that is the harnesses are clipped to the plastic, and there's like little prongs. And what you do is little prongs that are sticking out. You take this, you slide it right underneath on the manifold, give a little squeeze, and then they pop right out. It makes it super easy. I mean, literally, because people fight these things and they tear them out, and I do not like destroying them. Like, see how easy that was to do that? Got this right on out. So now, the last thing I need to get off is the one to the actual valve cover over here. Actually, no, I'm wrong. There's one more. There's 4. There's 4 vacuum lines. So you got valve cover, bypass valve, the actual, and then the vacuum hose to the brake booster, and then finally there's the evap one, which is right next to the fuel pump here. And this one is like the one I despise. So sometimes you'll need to get out of the way some parts. This harness is kind of a little hard to get in the way of it. It kind of keeps you from getting to the clamp I like to get to. There's a vacuum tee there. Man, can I just So right here, down in here is a vacuum tee, and this thing is a pain in the butt. That thing is a royal pain. Yeah, the lower end is going to be stock. So yeah, this is a stock bottom end. This is going to be 600 plus stock bottom end, and it's going to be perfectly fine with that kind of power level. So, because I've done quite a few of them, and I know they last. Honestly, if it's tuned right, the motor will last way longer than the trans will. So, because we can get some RPM out of these. Oh man, I really hate this. I hate this hose with a passion. And I know it's been off before too. Here we go. So once that's off, you can pull that out, and I'll show you when the manifold comes off. So that's off. Now what's next is the throttle body. So throttle body is 12 millimeters, but it's kind of a little precarious to get to. Not too bad. I like to use like a 3 or 4 inch extension and then a 12 millimeter, using 1/4 inch drive like this to get to them. There's 4 bolts there. And there's one thing that you got to remember when you take this off. They use like a capture method for the back of the bolts. I'll go over that when I pull this throttle body off and show you guys the one in the back at least. And I'm going to take this bolt. We need to put a note in here. So I'm going to pipe in intake manifold. Now, I've done the intake manifold so many times, I don't need to write individual steps to it. So I'm just going to write intake manifold and box it all in there. And I'm going to put right 210 on VC harness. So because I'm going to steal, or not steal, but take the 210 millimeters off the valve cover harness now. Because I took the one off to make room for the other evac line. So I'd rather just keep those together as a pair. I do highly recommend, when you take a manifold off, you use a torque wrench when you put it back. I'm sure not too many people are going to be interested in watching. All right. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is the capture portion. And the bolt goes through the throttle body and captures it right here. So you can just leave the throttle body in here. Now, as far as the manifold goes, usually, if you've not removed the manifold, there's a 12 millimeter bracket down here, bolt bracket down under the bottom that will keep you from removing it. This one has been removed and the stud has been shortened. So it's fine, but I can't show you that on camera either way, obviously. Now, I have to remove one 10 millimeter holding the bypass valve to the manifold. And this can just kind of float around over here out of the way. And then the last portion of this is the 12 millimeter. There's 2 nuts and 3 bolts. If you have a radium port plate, it will actually have 5 bolts. And there's a lot of little things in this car that really make it a pain for tear down. There's a lot of little extras. So sometimes your flex fuel kit and stuff may get in the way. Again, feel free to ask questions. This is also open chat. I'm paying attention to both. So if you have any questions, ideas too, I always love hearing ideas. I'm always open to ideas. Just make sure when you take this out, you're not binding it against anything. All right, so a manifold. Here I get to show you Oh, that's what I talk about the other bracket. So, unfortunately, the under tray is not on this car. Otherwise, it'd be getting stuck. And it happens. So, those little brackets, they just sit on the manifold like so. And then you talk about the vacuum lines. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, those are your vacuum lines. So, all right. All right, so I have smaller parts, so use a smaller baggie. So some of you, or occasional person, already knows how much of a pain this can be to do this job. So 5 steps, and not a God knows how many bolts at this point. I know you are, brother. I know you're hyped, man. I know you're hyped to get this done. I know you are. So I wanted to do it so that this way, if you come down this weekend, brother, that we'll be doing more assembly than anything else. Your head gasket will be here Tuesday, tomorrow. Now, being that the intake manifold's a large part, I'll just put that over with large parts. All right, that's off. Step number 6. Now, I think at this point it's probably a good idea to drain the coolant. Let me grab a catch can. I'm trying to remember what the hell I did with them. I had like 4 of them. Yeah, give me a second, guys. Huh. I have no idea, but somehow I'm missing like 5 catch cans. 5. It's like, does somebody come in and steal my cans, like my drain cans? So, by the way, it's on Quick Jacks. I think I should mention that. It's a really good decision to get some Quick Jacks. All right, are we blocks? Can I reach the drain from here? I can. Oh. Drain coolant. I'm really kind of flustered here as to where all my catch pans went. Give me 1 sec. Huh, that's really not cool. Well, that's pretty messed up. That's really messed up. Huh. Somebody snatched my drain pans. What the hell? That's so messed up. Because there's no way like 5 of them are gone. was the noise I heard last night. Wow, that is really low. Somebody jacked my drain pans. That is something special. That just shows you the level of individuals. Well, they're on my camera somewhere at some point, so I'm going to catch them because I got security. So, wow. I know they're not in my Jeep. Unless the landlord stuffed them under the wow, that is just something else. That is very uncool. That's totally uncool. I cannot believe for the life of me that somebody was bold enough to do that. I have an idea. Wow. Oh, wait a minute. Did I? Nope. Thought maybe. Nope. Bro, that is wild, man. Huh. That's going to bug the shit out of me. That is really, really fucked up. Let me check one more place, but I doubt it. Wow. That is something else, guys. I cannot believe that. I have no idea why somebody would do something so stupid. Like, of all the things to take, and I think I know who it is, too. It's these stupid utility guys that come over here that think they own the place half the time. And it's going to be on camera. So they're going to be busted. Like hardcore busted. Like hardcore busted. In fact, I'm down to one drain pan is wild because I had so many. There's no place left to look. Yep. That is some horse shit. Unless the landlord moved them. All right. Well, I'll find out in a second. Wow. Because I never took them in the truck. I never took them out of here. I just cannot believe that somebody would go so low as to do that. Like, I checked to make sure I didn't shove them underneath or something, and just try to store them away. But I don't remember doing anything like that. No, I didn't. So, man, that is just funky as all hell. And I checked everywhere. I have no idea. I got one other place to check, but I doubt it's there. One other second. Check one other place. Yep. All right. So, my landlord did not move them. So, this is getting wild. Bumper's a bitch to remove and put back on during everything. Well, it's hard to put back on, but you don't need to remove the bumper to get the upper ride support out. You don't need to do that. So, I'm very curious if it was a noise I heard last night, middle of the night. What the? Oh. No, but I don't know what fucking jackass would steal them, but oh, what a stupid world this is. Unbelievable. Anyway, that's just more money I gotta spend, and it's bad enough. Some of you know I gotta spend a lot more money than I really want to. But it is what it is at this point. So now I'm gonna drain the coolant, move on to the reservoir. Now that I've got the coolant out, there's 2 tanks for the reservoir. That is one messed up world we live in. So drain coolant and reservoir. Yeah, what are you gonna do, man? It is what it is at this point. I guess I don't understand because that's not worth a whole lot, but they're definitely all gone. Man, that is. And I'm trying to think, man. I'm like, man, did I move them when I cleaned up? And I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, well, not the Jeep. They sure as hell aren't in my car. So, where the heck could they be? Right? Where are they going to be? So, remove 2 vacuum lines. I mean, not vacuum lines, coolant lines. You have the bleed line and then the primary line here. It's empty already because I drained it. Should leave the cap on there. Leave it over with the big parts. I don't know. What a dumbass thing to steal. I guess they realized there was a camera and took off at that point, Whatever. So, another thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the bracket for this. It's a good time to remove it now for the reservoir. Dude, I really hope I'm wrong and that, I just stuffed them somewhere that I can't remember, that I can magically not see 4 or 5 drain pans. I really, Like, I'm really, like, kind of flustered here. It's like, what the heck? So, now, normally, I mean, well, sometimes, like, I'll remove this after I remove the motor mount. Really just kind of depends. It's a little easier to remove it after you remove the motor mount because you get tight to the bottom 10 millimeter. But it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of a good time to do it because I'm not taking the valve cover and stuff off yet. I still got to take like the vacuum pump and all that stuff off the other side. Now there's oil inside the vacuum pump, so it's always a good idea to put a like some sort of, not oil catch is not the word I'm looking for, absorbent pad, one of those absorbent pads, reservoir and bracket. So that's step number 6. Keep it simple on that because those kind of parts go together. And I wonder if I can get away with a regular size Ziploc bag for that. Probably can. What are you guys talking about? Breaking the clips. Oh, I make sure all the clips are in one piece, man. You gotta look into like just really some using needle nose pliers, man. That really helps. You know what? That charge pipe's considered a large piece, so I'm gonna put that over there. Don't need that waiting with those parts. I cannot believe that. I have to have put them somewhere, but man, I've literally looked around my whole property, and I really can't understand how somebody would take something like that. But I could be wrong. So the other thing you need to do is remove. I clamped the, when I took the turbo off, I clamped these 2 hoses for the stock turbo to keep coolant from coming out. Like right now, there it goes. Now I know these hoses are not going to get reused, so for now, come on, give me that back. So I like to use these to clamp hoses. Hey, don't want to leak into that charge pipe. Get over here. Here. You got to watch. If the charge pipe's open and you take this off, you don't want to get coolant down in that charge pipe, because then obviously you'll suck it into the engine. All right, cool. I got the level low enough now where it can just sit there and not leak all over the place. Now, where is... I am still in utter disbelief that they jacked that. Now, next on the step, what I recommend is there's a 19 millimeter on the front of the block. Because you're going to be doing a head gasket, you want to get the coolant all out of there. So that 19 millimeter, she can be a little bit tight, to say the least. So they just get tight. It's not that there's a high torque on them; they just get tight from the expansion. Oh, woo! That plug be heavy. Now you may get some coolant in the exhaust. That's normal. That's not going to do anything, obviously. You're just going to burn it off later. And this is the drain for the block, and this will make sure the coolant level is lower, so that when you take the head gasket off, you don't get coolant into the oil. So by draining the block, you prevent that from happening. So you just drain it, and then you're done. Later, what I'll do is I'll get some water and just rinse off the block. And it doesn't need to be super tight. Believe me, when these get tightened, they're not tightened that tight. They're just that hard to break loose for whatever reason. Like they're really not tightened that tight. I don't know if it's just like the heat cycling. One thumb. That's all I'm gonna do is one thumb, right? Because it's a long ratchet. If it was down here, I'd give it a little push. So like if you were worried that you might be over torquing it, just bring your hand further down the ratchet, right? And notice I can tell I have the same amount of tension. All right, so next on the list, as I'm going to say, is going to be this vacuum pump. And some of this harness stuff is over here just hanging out. Since this is a no MAF tuned, the MAF connection is just chilling here. The other thing is we have flex fuel kit in here. So I'm going to have to write in there, unplug flex fuel kit and remove vacuum pump. So that'd be the next step. And I'm running out of room on this page. Yeah, hey, Bernard, I have a GoPro, but if I put that on my head, how do you expect me to log into YouTube? It don't work. Like, I don't have money for this stuff, man. I'm done with the money, man. Like, I really don't. Like, I may need a head cam, but I'm not spending no more money, man. I'm over it. I'm over it. I spend more money for the community than any other company out there, period. Because everybody else is all about me, and I'm doing a lot more for the community than anyone else. So I'm done. So if somebody wants to donate a camera, that's fine, because I have a GoPro Hero 10 and the damn thing overheats. So it's junk. So it overheated since day one, and I'm not sticking an Insta360 in my head. So I really just do not have money for that stuff anymore. I have the computer I had to get for editing, so I really can't do it no more. Money-wise, man, I'm at my limit, man. I got to build one last special thing, and then that's it. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this pygmy mat and putting it underneath the vacuum pump area so that I don't get this transmission full of oil, because you will get oil out of there. So, all right, we got, should be 10 on the outside. And I need to write vacuum pump, VC pump, and FF plug. And I need a bigger Ziploc baggie because you're going to see I'm going to have to put all this inside there. And let me see, it's number 7. There's 3 10mm. For the outer portion of the vacuum pump. So, believe me, if there's a way to set this camera higher, I would set it up here. You know what? Let's go dangerous. There. That's the best I can do. Does that work? That should be better. I mean, that's all I can really do, fellas. That sketch is fucked my computer on top of a. So removing the vacuum pump, there's oil. Make sure this gasket stays here. And then when you reinstall a vacuum pump, you have to align there's a piece on here that you want to align. You want, well, let me put got the marker in there. So you want to make sure that this aligns. This only goes one way. So, well, actually, I'm sorry. It goes in 180 because it's got a little slider on it. Next is the 3 12mm. Now, what's going on here is this harness is now in the way of this 12. I can pull this off and do this, but rather than do this, I'm going to make this part of the step. I'm going to write in there cam sensors and upper head harness, you know. But the cam sensors will let me know that I'm in this area, right? So that I know that I'm not, you know, in the wrong area. bad. Why is that? What do we got going on here that's making me sticky there? So, and I say cam sensors because they're easy to get at this point. Might as well put them in there. So, let me see. Cam sensor. High pressure pump harness. There we go. And then basically get your two cam sensors, one here, one back here. This one's kind of covered by the evap and this line I have here. Oh, hey, looks like I'm going to have to remove that fuel line. Hang on. Do not try to use metric on an AN line. The AN line is only standard. It's 11/16. I'm surprised that had pressure after it's sitting off the whole. Make sure the key's not on for some reason. Well, it can't be on. The battery's not in there. Wow, that's got pressure for a hot minute. I mean, it's not like it would hurt anything here. Surprised it still had that much pressure. Okay, so I just have to write on there pump fuel line. Pump harness and pump feed hose. All right. So, although, like I said, this is a lot of writing, it still makes life easier long run. I'm also in like no gigantic rush. Because if I rush, I will have no breath. Basically, you want to disassemble everything you can off the side of the head over here. And what I'm going to do for the cam sensors, just so they don't get bounced around as much, I'm going to put them in a bag inside the bag. Just to be on the safe side. Just a little something to protect them. All right. Now, back to, now we can clearly see a nice big opening here for the vacuum pump. I wish there was a way I could reverse the camera for the other side stuff too. I really just can't. I never thought about putting that up there on the, well, good thing it's not summer, because I wouldn't be able to do it. Now, if you wanted to, you could take like a vacuum and suction out this oil. You could, but you're going to get oil everywhere no matter what you do. And I'll put this in with that other bag. And just got to make sure you don't lose those gaskets in there. Now, head gasket kit does come with new gaskets for that. Now we can see. Next on the list, we can do a couple different ways, but there's a lot of stuff that needs to come off. Like these heater hoses have to come off, and you can disconnect them anywhere along the line, but obviously they do have to come off. This is what I dread, and this is what I do use these for. I hate removing these things, man. I really just do not like them. This does not work. I forgot. All right. Let me get the other pair. These squeeze clamps. I hate these things with a passion. These particular ones. Because they'll lock on you. When they lock, man, oh boy. I try not to get these things to lock, but if you squeeze them all the way, they'll lock, man. And then when you go to take them back apart, they will snap and catch your finger. You're gonna feel that. Now, sometimes, well, actually, this happens all the time with the heater hoses. They'll get stuck on there, and you'll take a pair of pliers and just kind of try to turn them, but be careful not to rip the hose. Kind of just massage it a little and stay towards the end of the hose, and it should start to move. This is pretty common with these to do this, to get stuck. It's the coolant. This is never fun. All right. Ooh, we got some rusties in there. Not too bad, though. Just a little. Oh, I hate that part. All right. Heater hoses. Okay. Now, being the fact I'm on hoses, heater hoses, let me see. I'm going to put Flex Fuel Ground because there it is. It's right there in front of me. So I'm going to put that on the list with that. I should have took that off earlier, but it was covered. And I'm going to put /O2 bracket because that's what it came off with. It was the ground in the O2 bracket. /O2 bracket. And my handwriting's atrocious, but that's all right. I keep forgetting. I only need the marker for certain parts. Now, while I'm at it, right, like I'm doing hoses, I might as well just disconnect all the hoses because what's going to happen is this piece, once I disconnect all these heater hoses and unplug this coolant temp sensor, this whole thing comes off, and this tube and pipe assembly comes off as one whole unit off of the car. So I might as well. Let me get this. Why are we stuck? Okay, I see what's going on. We are just connected to that hose. I've never really liked the routing for this Flex Fuel kit. I want to just kind of get this away from this hose here. You know what? I don't need to totally remove that. I'll probably leave that in the car. Don't need to go through totally removing that. All right. Now be careful with that bottom one because it is plastic. So if you're trying to twist, just be careful. Don't grab it too tight. Don't twist too hard. You might break it for the lower radiator hose. Now because we drain the block, we're not going to get anything dumping out there. So I'm going to put rad hoses. Right, so okay, rad hoses. And let me see, the heater hoses, rad hoses, and then we have looks like throttle body bypass. So throttle body bypass. See, this is where writing it down will save you a headache, like forgetting to put like little hoses back on. So your little throttle body bypass is right here. This goes up and through around to the throttle body up over here on this metal pipe, which I hate this design. So I'm going to just leave this on here. Like I said, I hate this design. It's absolutely atrociously stupid. I don't know what the fuck Honda was thinking when they did this. I'm sure they could have sourced throttle body from the coolant for throttle body from somewhere else. Do you actually need it? No. Okay, so now I need to remove transcooler hoses. So the transcooler hoses, See, it's stuff like this that makes this car more of a pain in the butt to take apart. It's this little random stuff like this that really, really gets into the mix where you're trying to get it done. You're fighting it because of it. Where's the end to the other one? The other one is buried up underneath here. So once you remove this one, you kind of just push this one back out of the way and get to the other one. You could remove it from the bottom. It's just all about preference, really. I just think this is a pain in the butt no matter what you do. Where are my wheel noses? Where did I put them little bad boys? All right, where it is. There we go. Now, sometimes you can get the needle nose pliers on top and push down against the hose if you can get the angle right. You literally just push down against the meat of the hose and push the hose off. And that ain't happening today. Not on that one. Just a hell of a spot. Probably should have taken it off from the other end, honestly. Would have been better off. Ow! Alright, you know what? That's coming off from the other end. I'm not doing that from that side. And I'll take that clamp and put it back on later, but this has got to come off from the bottom. It'll be a lot easier to come off from the bottom. Jesus Christ. These things will be the death of me. Come on, baby. Get off of there. Oh, there we go. All right. That's a pain in the ass. You'll see when this thing comes out. Now I need to unplug the coolant temperature sensor for the cylinder head. So, yeah, I'm just going to write ECT plug. And now, there is, that stays. This gets removed. You got this bypass hose up top, but I'm not worried about this because when this goes back, this isn't going to have the same turbo. And this clamp gets removed. This hose gets removed. So I'm not going to write that into my list of hoses to be removed. This is going to be a totally different hose. So I'm not worried about this. So I'm not going to write down this side. There we go. Let's take this and put this out of the side, off to the side. Get over there. Yeah, whatever. Close enough. Now, there is a 12 millimeter nut down the bottom here. 12 millimeter bolt top here, and then two 12 millimeters here. So 12, 12, 12, and 12. The hardest one to get to is the 12 millimeter nut underneath. That's the most pain in the butt one to get to. So I usually use 1/4 inch with that end. Anything larger gets in the way. So yeah, it's a little tight. Let me get this one too. Now, before I take this out, I have a little trick up my sleeve. You can use whatever you want. You can use lube. I like to use glass cleaner. And the reason I'm doing this is glass cleaner is slick when it's wet. And when I pull this off, you're going to want to move this around now. There we go. You want to wiggle. Oh. And there goes the rest of the coolant to the block. Oh, get off there. Harness is stuck. Oh, I forgot one. Throttle body hose. I forgot the throttle body coolant hose. Okay. This is back here. There's a throttle body coolant hose in the back. Up the right rear. There, TV, coolant hose. Remove. T-stat assembly. All right. So, I gotta get this silly thing off before I can get it out. I might reverse the direction on it. Put it like where I put it on the other direction. What the heck just fell? Oh. All right, come on, baby. Get off there. All right. Now. All this craziness. You know what? Thank you. I forgot I had that out. This is like the octopus assembly is like crazy. So I keep this like this so I don't mess with the O-ring here at the base, and just try to keep this as assembled as possible. All right, so I don't have a lot of crazy bolts for that bag, so that's step number 8. Yeah, just put all these wonderful little bag bolts in there. Yeah, man, you're going to put a big tire on there. And we just hope that the transmission says thank you. That's all we can hope for that it holds up. All right, now, let's put this back over here. Okay. Let me put the car down so... Primary coolant out of the way. Leave the standard pin underneath. Oh, what's over here? Oh, just some blocks. All right. All right, put this back in here for oil dripping, coolant dripping. Okay, now, next on the list is the high pressure pump and the high pressure line area. I say area. One of the things you don't want to forget, and you'll see in a minute, step number 9, high pressure fuel pump and line. So we are in Allen keys. One is metric, one is standard, never. believe the lower one is M5, it is. And the upper one, where are you? Nope, it's like 730 seconds or something weird. Nope. No, that's the wrong size. That's too big. Quarter inch is too big. Nope. Come on. No, that's going to be too small. Yeah, it's way too small. The heck size is that upper one? Do I not have that one? Come on. I guess I have to have it in the standard. Oh, wait. I must have misplaced the correct size. That's all right. I don't like normally doing it this way on these little ones, but I thought it was 730 seconds. I really thought it was. Nope, it'd be 3/16. Yeah. Does I have 3/16? No, that'd be the one size I'm missing out of that set. That's a little frustrating. I'm going to get the socket for that before I bust my hand up. All right. Might be asking, why do I loosen those? Why does it feel like it's got a lock pin on it? Jeez. I loosen those because when you take this out, it's harder to clear the cam sensor like area on that. I really do like using the T-handles for these because the torque doesn't need to be outrageously tight. All right. Before I forget to go any further, because I already forgot, don't forget to do the high pressure line. Get that loose first. Might not want to forget that. All right. Okay. So the reason I said is to just allow this to move around a little inside of here. And then now I'll just take this and re-snug it up. So just to make it when it's coming off. I don't know, man. It's just something I do. Yeah, that feels like very corroded almost. All right. So what I was saying before about not forgetting something important was a couple things. There's washers down in here, right? And there's little rubber little sleeves that guide it. Let me empty this thing. Little rubber sleeves that guide it. You got to make sure those don't get lost. And then a lot of times people forget this part. Where's my magnet? At least I can get that here. Where is my magnet? Where did I put? That's interesting. I do not know where I put my magnet. Ah, there it is. Your cam follower. A lot of people have forgotten. They'll put a high pressure pump in and completely forget to put this in. It happens. I've seen it plenty of times. So it's high pressure fuel pump, line, cam follower. Now, you could mark the parts in the bag, and that would be advantageous. So God forbid you lost something for the bag, but you don't even mark a lot of parts on the bag. You're going to go through a lot more bags. So, oh, I tore that one up. Let's do this. Redo that. We'll take this, put this in separate so that it's not getting any fuel on the cam follower and it just stays filled with oil. There's the washers. Then now, so I have the manifold off, we'll get the other end of the fuel line while I'm here. But before I do that, I need to get that evap solenoid off. Evap solenoid cam follower. Look, guys keep going about draggies. Until the video matches the draggy, I don't care what it says. You can go in anybody's fucking car you please. So that's what I say to that. So until somebody can show me that they're actually in the damn car, in their car, doing it, I don't care what it says. That's how I feel. Now, what I'll do now to get this out of here, untangled here. Wait a minute, what am I doing? This goes this way. Man, this is like all tangled up in here. All right, I'm going to take this whole evap assembly, because this is going to go all the way back to the firewall. So, I'm going to remove the evap hose by the firewall, which is this one back here. Oh, man. Come on, babe. Let go. This is what happens when they've been together for a while. They do not want to let go. Oh, God. What the hell? Oof. That creaking is just literally the hose not wanting to let go. All right, so once you get that evap hose off of there on the back, there's a 10 millimeter on that bracket. I'll show you how this all comes out in one shot. Wait, what a pain in the tuchus that was. All right. 10 millimeter. It's a 10 millimeter bolt. This the bracket that comes back underneath the cylinder head here. You can't really see it all that well. You sure can feel it. She's a little fun to put back together too when you do it. But And you gotta unclip this from the throttle body harness, and then your whole evap assembly comes out as a whole. Rather than taking every little hose off, one by one by one by one, you have the whole evap assembly in one shot. One big old shot. This is the stuff that literally makes this take forever. And we see we still haven't even gotten the frickin' valve cover off, you know? I mean, think about it. All this time, it's an hour and 20 minutes. We still don't even have the damn valve cover off yet. Like, what the hell, people? You know, and there is still a long ways to go. Oh, I gotta get the line out of here, too. Line. I can sit in there. Now, there is one other thing that is, I mean, this is completely freaking useless, this part. I am telling you. I mean, I'll put it back on the cars, but this part. This thing is useless. This bracket is useless. So while I'm here, I'm going to unplug in. Well, you know what? Let's go to step number 10. I'm going to remove injectors. So, first things first, obviously unplug them. Now, there is a bracket by the pressure sensor. So there's two 10 millimeters. So you're going to write remove bracket over rail pressure sensor. I'm going to write rail sensor since I know what it is. Might be a little bit extra to write, but there's a 10 millimeter facing straight this way in the back above the alternator. It is a long 10 millimeter, and then there's a 10 millimeter that faces sideways here. And because we have the reservoir bracket out, it's a lot easier to get to. So you're going to just remove those two 10 millimeters. Then there is a yellow clip on the rail pressure sensor plug. You need to pull that little yellow clip back, and then you can squeeze on the clip. Now your rail, you just got to remove all the 10 millimeter bolts that are stuffed up in here. And there's quite a few. That's one. That's two. And there's two nuts too. That's the one nut. That technically makes three. Four. Five. Six. Seven. And the last one is a nut, so that makes 8 10 millimeters. Now, so I don't forget that these are up here, I'm going to take them now and put them over. Now, the 10 millimeter on that bracket, you got to watch, that 10 millimeter on that side bracket is shorter than the rail one. So don't mix them up. Not that you really would hurt anything, but I say don't mix them up. Now, a lot of times this rail is going to pull out and the ejectors are going to stay in the block. It just depends on how long they've been in there. Oh, I got lucky as shit. And it's also because they are my injectors. So, yep. So, as we can see, so, hey, Chris, you did the install on these? Or did I do the install on these? Your OEM seats are on here. I wonder why. Huh. That's strange. Because mine look a little different. Unless that's unless I just the seats changed in one of the generations, I didn't catch it or something. That's interesting. Well, whatever. It ain't no big deal. Maybe I put them in to prove a point that it doesn't matter. That they're the same height. Well, doesn't matter either way. All right, and the injector is out. And what I will do is at some point I will take them and I will test them in my machine just to validate them before you sell them to your buddy, just to validate flow. Oh, you know what I need to do though? I mean, so much life does this computer have? Man, this computer is freaking awesome. You know why? Because the battery it's been not connected for like an hour and the battery hasn't budged. That is crazy. All right. So, oh, you know what I should do? Show you guys the rail so you guys understand the bolts and what I was talking about with the clip. So the rail, you have your 10 millimeters. There's going to be 2 of them are studs, and your connection, that's covered by a bracket. I can't pull that out at the moment. Now, let's see. Now we need to get stuff up and off the valve cover. You know, up, off, and out of the way. Because you've gotten everything on the side of the cylinder head. You know what I'm going to do right now? And I'm going to add this to this is I'm going to put, there's a ground that is critical here on the side of the head. So, we'll put with step 10, remove head ground. Now, sometimes using studs for whatever reason, you know, what the heck? Oh, there it is. The heck I was going to say. For whatever reason, you end up needing an extra ground on a block. There is a nice little 10 millimeter spot down here. That works great for that. So let me put this bolt in that bag. I think it's because initially the ARP loop kind of interferes with the conductivity of it. It's weird. So, all right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start from the AC compressor and start laying everything back. So the AC compressor plug down here is what you're going to go after. You're going to want to take this plug off. And it's a little tight to get in here, but you can get it. It ain't fun, I'll tell you that much. I can feel the clip release, but there we go. All right. So there's one. Then you want to do the solenoid. So it's AC compressor and then front solenoid. So that would be the exhaust solenoid. So AC plug. And that'd be exhaust cam solenoid. All right. And then basically we're going to make sure we remove it to prevent possible damage. And when we remove, we always want to inspect for any material in the screen. Any sparklings in the screen is no bueno. We have a perfectly clean screen here. And do not know what size bag I'm going to need yet. But fortunately, I put a premium out there. So now that's pull back. Now we're going to want to undo the ignition coils. So, ignition coils and dipstick. Many times I have grabbed the valve cover out and went like, oh, what's that? Oh, look at that, it's dipstick. Many times have I done that. All right, our ignition coils are out. So, I'm going to now unplug the intake cam solenoid. Which is there by the mount. And there's a 10 millimeter for a bracket there, which needs to come off. So, just take the... And that is now out of the way. So now our harness moves up out of the way here. So, while I'm at it, I'm going to take the ground off the engine mount. While I'm here. Put that in the list. Now there's two primary grounds on the block. Not that it matters now, but there's a trans one down here, and then there's an engine one over here. Those are your two primary grounds. If you don't have both of them on, you can have weird electrical symptoms and problems. It does happen. I will have to, for the throttle body, take off this hose. I guess I might as well do that. It will be upper TP bypass hose. Might as well do that now to get that off and out of the way. So that's just going to stay on the valve cover. And this can stay up out of the way. Next is going to be the VTEC solenoid and pressure sensor. There's 3 plugs here. So you got these 3. On the back here, you cannot see. It's going to be black, green, and gray. So, and I think that'll be enough for that bag. Can't really fit much more in there. I might as well actually take the solenoid out too. All right. Step number 11. I'm going to put all these back in there. Well, guys, I will say this. You know, Dragy's not perfect. There are times I've seen it off, but it's good. But to be truthful, like I keep saying, unless, you know, you can show the car itself with it, I really kind of, unless, like I said, that's my big stickler about that. Like, really should show the car with it. There's no reason not to. There is video. I've tried a couple times to video it. It does freeze. I'll say that. It can freeze on you. But it's not the greatest software. Now, this bolt for the intake cam solenoid is very picky, to say the least. Not picky, just kind of is different. Sorry, I don't know why I said picky. Again, check for material, no material. So the only way to do that kind of time, man, is like flat foot shift to death and beat the dog shit out of your trans. So, and you gotta be running drag radials or something. like at that point. Now, next on the list is going to be the valve cover bypass tubes. VC bypass tubes. All right. And then comes the more fun part. Also, see now that there's the bypass, now the last thing I'm going to need is a 90-degree pick, because there's a clip here that connects the harness to the valve cover, this little back bracket. So I want to pull this 90-degree clip underneath this green plug, and there we go. Now, your harness is completely out of the way. You have a cylinder head with nothing on it. So now that's how you strip the head bare. I didn't have to unplug the flex fuel kit, but there is now nothing on this cylinder head that has anything to do with that. It is no longer, and there's no longer any electrical connections to it. No grounds, nothing of that nature. So now you have officially stripped the head of all harnesses. This is what's really the pain in the butt, ladies and germs. It is not even so much the darn timing. It is that. Now, oh, wait. There we go. Almost missed the clip. All right. Chris, what kind of... Yep. All right. Oh, yep. Now going from the other side. All right. It self-locks. Forgot about that. Oh, got to get his wheel lock and stuff out of the trunk. All right. Get this key. All right. Wheel locks. Oh, these things are going to stab me all day long. What size are we dealing with? Nope, 21 only. All right. So that'd be ½ inch only, huh? That's frustrating. There. Well, I don't know where I put that socket. All right. Well, actually, you know what? Does it have it in the... Yes, it's good. Is that? Yes, it is. Okay, here we go. So I do not have to use the gigantic gun yet. This DeWalt's a nasty little thing, I'll tell you that. It'll be tight on there. A little tight. All right. Let's get these tires off to the side. here. Nice and gentle. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Nice and easy. All right, cool. Next, now we have the car on blocks. What we're going to do is I'm going to put a floor jack with a rubber brace underneath, or like a spacer, so that this way I can take the stress off the engine mount. I'm not going to remove the engine mount before I remove the belt because it's easier this way. And I am going to be dead out exhausted by tomorrow. Now, I have my rubber blocks that I use. Same thing I use for the lift. So to prevent any possible damage to the pan. And underneath the pan, there is like a area that's got like where it used to go for the, like not used to, but for the European models have temperature sensor for oil, true oil temp sensor. It's for that. Now it's going to really stink. Yep. Yeah, I might end up destroying that socket there. Hope not. Thankfully it didn't. It's not quite the right length. So, you know what? I am forgetting things. I am getting ahead of myself without writing things down. Bypass, okay. Look, bypass tubes and engine mount. Now that's really there. Get out of here. All right. Fortunately, it didn't catch anything. All right, so you have the 319s across the top. And then, man, you know what? I completely forgot I had my awesome impact swivels, and they are not here because they do a fantastic job of getting into this tight spot underneath here. But we need to remove the 10 millimeter from the AC line. So the AC line, 10 millimeter. Can't forget that. These are 14 millimeter on top here. This does go back. This hardware is reused. Same thing with the lower hardware. I prefer to use those impact swivels than a straight, but can't do anything on it. There's the bracket. Make sure I put it over here by the list. Then there's the 19s down near the bottom. I'm going to need a longer extension than this probably. Actually, these are 17s. They are. Let me get my impact extensions. I kind of doubt this is going to crack it loose. Only because the length. So I really kind of doubt that this is really going to get this thing loose, but we will see. Yeah, that's what I thought. Just going to go deaf. Oh, my ears. Fuck, I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old. So the 217s on the bottom, 319s on top, and the 214s in the bracket, and the whole thing comes out. Make it sound so simple. All right. Step number 12. And now the engine is floating here. So what I'll do now, I'll jack it up some so that I can gain a little bit better access to the mount here. Now, where is it? Oh, how many I grabbed? I did, didn't I? Shit. What was it? It was, oh yeah, that was slick. I completely forgot. Yep, it is a 17. Well, now I'm going to do it how most people would have to do it, which is 2 wrenches interlocked, 17 interlock, or you know what I can do first, because it'll make it easier, the bracket for the engine mount. And engine mount bracket. I'm going to do that now because that's going to make it easier to get to the belt. And the next step, this is 14 millimeter. There are 4 of them. Apparently, that's not stubby enough. I can't get to the other one. What I can do is break it loose. Then, it's broken loose. Provided that they have it, I hope there is there. Ah, shoot, very. Oh, 9/16 is a little larger, isn't it? Yeah. And the engine mount bracket coming out will make it easier to get to the belt. Leave that in there. Now, what most people will have to do is grab a 17 millimeter wrench. And the best thing I can suggest you do is to take it, interlock the other wrench, like so. And then you can get some leverage on this. And it's hydraulic, so you got to pull it back, and you'll feel it like kind of like pop at the end. Then you pull it off the tensioner and the idler here, and then you should be fine. Now, when getting the belt out, the AC compressor gets really tight to the block. So, in order to get it out, you actually can lower the engine back down a little to right about neutral, and then you can squeak the belt past the AC compressor. And the belt be out. Now we have components on the engine here. So let me see. We got the idler pulley. So usually I'll put in the next step idler pulley and tensioner together. So step number 13, idler. And put the belt there. Idler and tensioner. So that's going to require a big bag. All right. Cracker loose. And then do both of them that way. And then what I can do is use the little 1/4 inch one to zip her out. If my brain can realize where the heck I put it, it's green, and I just lost it. There it is. What happens when you start getting a little tired? It's very heavy on the breath. Now, the tensioner's got a 14 millimeter here. which is long, and then what you're gonna have to do is you have to lower it down a little, and then there's 12 millimeter. So you have to lower the engine down to get to the 12 millimeter. Down there, you're gonna need a long extension. That's gonna be the easiest way. Oh, old man, make old man noises. This goes here, and then 12 extension. You got to get this in from the fender well, unfortunately. I wish there was a way to show you, but I can't. Not without dragging the computer out and around. I'll be able to show you after I get it out. So I have the 12 out, then I should be able to just the bracket goes out the bottom. So this is the hydraulic portion. This is the part that presses against what you just want to make sure. Obviously, you don't want to lose this little washer here. So that's the idler and the tensioner. I'm going to keep that separate because now after this, the VTEC solenoid is too delicate. So 14 VTEC solenoid. I officially running out of room in the front of that thing. Running out of a lot of room. Alright, now this is going to get oily. So I'm going to try to put this in immediately. This is another place that there's a screen that you really want to try to check the screen. This marker's not as good as the other one. That's interesting. Both bought in the same batch. So 10 millimeter shallow. If you're doing this by hand, God bless your damn soul. You'll be here for days. If you're doing it by hand. So it's 3 10 millimeter bolts. And there's a screen in here. Once again, we want to make sure that there's nothing in that screen, and there's not. So we know we have a clean engine. The other advantage to bagging it up like this is you're not going to get dirt and debris in these screens, and you can just reinstall this stuff. Okay, next is going to be the crank pulley. Now, I have a special tool here for this because I don't like waiting, having all day for the thing to come off. This is basically a weighted socket. This thing is gonna seriously, it's a game changer when it comes down to removing crank bolts. But I have to plug in the compressor. So let me go plug the compressor in, get that thing running. Why is that stuck up there? Okay, now the compressor is running. Time for the big boy. I may not have a gigantic shop, but I sure as hell have everything I need. All right, so I'm going to lower the engine down a little bit. Make sure that turn around. Try to remember to constantly put my sockets back and my tools back so that you don't lose track of them. That's kind of like the dumbest simple thing, but be surprised. Biggest thing is not to lose the pin that aligns the crank. Nowhere near. Why is that stuck? What the heck? There's some dirt in there. Some extra air oil or something. All right. Nope, pressure's not up there yet. You usually need about 150 psi at the weighted socket. It'll come off. Chris, I'd hardly call this OEM Plus. This is like OEM kick your ass build. It's just more like, oh, you thought it was OEM Plus? Oh, let me show you something special. We'll just go down a little bit more. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So, do not lose this damn pin that goes in that groove. Don't lose it. What I do is I take 2 bags and I get 1 large, put the actual crank pulley in the large bag. I take a little bag and put it in there with it. I labeled them both the same number, just in case somehow the little bag gets taken out. And make sure that I don't lose that damn thing. I'll show you another thing where people make a nice big boo-boo. So this will go independently in its own little bag, so it doesn't get lost. I will, however, need this crank bolt in a few minutes to orient the engine. So I am not going to bag that up just yet. Okay. Now it's time to remove the valve cover. Actually, you know what I'm going to do before I do that? Just so, well, it's not going to matter because I'm removing the whole head, so it's going to get clean. I was going to say, make sure we can get any debris in there. So it's not just valve cover. We have to remove the upper portion of the high pressure pump stand. So, because that has to come off in order to get camshafts out. Because you cannot get to the last cylinder head bolt with that stupid thing on. Oh, you're going to fight me, eh? Make sure I don't miss one. Oh, they're all out. There we go. Looks nice and clean. So we have to remove this upper portion of this high pressure pump area. Now, remember I moved that bracket earlier. That bracket back here for the EVAP, that actually attaches to this. So when you remove it, you know, if you left that on there, or which one attached to it? No, never mind. I thought for some reason I thought that one attached to that, but it doesn't. Never mind. Ignore that. Ignore that comment. Ignore it. I never said it. Erase from the video. So you know, okay, this, now we definitely need to get to the point of need to start putting things in the hot tank. So I'm going to go fire up the hot tank. I have mild chemicals in the hot tank. Nothing crazy. Let me put these back. Get them. Remove valve cover and high pressure fuel pump stand. Let me get a screwdriver so I can pop that off. Once you get it started moving, just wiggle it because there are dowels. You don't want to mess these dowels up down here. 1, 2 dowels. I'm going to clean this first with, I'm just going to throw this in the tank first for a little bit. Now, I know this looks dirty, but I'm going to put this in here for now. And I'm going to put it in the tank. And see what you do. We're going to put the screwdriver back because I don't think I'll need it again. Okay, now, what is next on the list? First things first, I should probably get the locking pins. Ironically enough, now this is the interesting part. I found out that basically the aftermarket El Cheapo pins fit tighter than the Honda ones. which to me is like, huh? Now, while it looks like we're fairly close, we're not as close as you think. So next is going to be rotate the crank. We need to put the crank bolt back in for now. Well, actually, you know what? I'll rotate the crank after I get the timing cover off. Instead of getting whacked in the cahoots, let me just take that out of there. Okay. There are three or four 12 millimeter bolts on the back of this timing cover. Sorry, guys, I've really got no way to put that computer on the other side, but there are. That's the 412s, and the rest are 10 millimeters. Some of them you'll have to get with regular. Some of them have to get. Yes, and then this it's interesting. All right, some you can get with the extended ratchet. Some of them you cannot. Okay. Step 17. Timing cover. All right. Let me do this. Let me get Baggy up here. There's also two very special bolts in the timing cover. Man, this one marker they got me brand new is junk. Okay. All right, there's one that gets a lot of people to forget about it. There's one right in the front here. What is going on with my socket? That is, she's hidden right up here below this intake cam. And you can, if you force the timing cover, you can crack it. So just be careful not to do that. And the other reason I forgot to mention earlier, see this AC line, how this is loose? That's to help prevent this from possibly breaking. That AC line breaks on these cars so bad. I mean, I am not kidding when I say that thing breaks constantly. So you have 1, 2. That's 3. Can I get this with a long or have to be a short? 4. Let me see. 5. Now there's two special 10 millimeters in there. I'm going to show you to come out in the middle, but you can put them in the bottom when you put it back together. You do not have to put them back in the middle. This is 6. And then it should be, there's also 3 on the oil pan that face vertical, that go straight up like this on the oil pan. So when the engine's jacked up as much as it will go is the time that you're able to get to those short 10 millimeter. Or it's going to make a liar out of me on that one because whatever engine mount he's using is not allowing this thing to flex. from the bottom. Oh, come on, get in there. Nope. Son of a gun. Why can you not get to that? Do I need to use the short wrench? Oh, damn. What the heck's going on here? All right. I might have to reposition. All right. Let's try that. Okay. All right, so that makes it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 so far. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, no, 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9 so far. Then you've got 4 more. So. That is 13. So that is 13 10 millimeter bolts and 4 12s. Let me show you the 2 special ones after I bag up the rest. So these are the 2 special ones. Whenever you're putting in a timing cover, these 2 guide it so that the cover is aligned. The easiest place to put these 2 is when you first put the cover back on the bottom 2 facing towards the engine. And you're going to put these in first, then all your other bolts should line up very easily. There should be no problem. Okay. Now, to get the timing cover to come loose, you need a what I call dead blow. All right. So you have a dead blow and the corner here. And then there's a corner back here. You can, and as you hear, if you can do that pretty easily, you'll hear it comes loose. You'll know, okay, yes, I got all the bolts out. If you have to pound the doors off of it, then obviously there's something wrong, right? So this is kind of tilting up and back. I'm going to grab the other jack and reset that oil pan. Check. I'll hold it up by the trams momentarily. Whatever mount is, man, this mount, whatever mounts in here, this thing does not move for that torque mount. That is going to make it extremely difficult to get this pan back in here cleanly. Because normally the engine will sit forward a little. I think whatever torque mount's being used is just shorter. What torque mount is that? That's OEM everything? Huh. I don't know why it just doesn't move the same. Very strange. Well, hey, whatever. So, you can see why they call this the penis gasket. Yeah, good thing I'm not monetized. Not that it matters, but pretty obvious why they call that the, trunk and peanut. Yeah, don't need to say more. If you could just, yeah. So this is only like 15 minutes in there. It'll get better, but I don't want to go crazy. But as you can see, a lot of the corrosion I can just like wipe off now. But it's gonna sit in there a little bit longer. All right. Now, next in the list is going to be, I want to actually move this to TDC before I take this apart. I mean, stop that. What I mean by that is top dead center. Oh, God, I'm getting old and I'm bored and I'm tired. Oh. All right. Now, my team socket. Now, I'll get into this in a minute. So I got the timing cover. And wait a minute, timing cover and spacer. I'm going to put crank spacer. I'm about to show you guys something that I've seen people do this, and this causes a lot of damage if you forget about this. And I mean a lot of damage. I've seen people do it, and they destroy a lot of stuff. This crank spacer is critical. This goes on the crank gear. Okay, so you got the crank gear on the bottom, it stays there. This goes on after you put the chain on. If you forget to put this on, you will do some serious damage. Don't forget it. All right, I have officially filled this entire bin with bolts and very small parts. So this bin is officially filled. I'm going to take this thing carried away. Oh, I'm getting old. Okay. Okay. I have got a freeloader. It's your Froggy. Here, Froggy. You might want to get out of here, buddy. Come on. Get out of there. Go on. Get out of there. Thank you. All right. I need to wipe this down real quick. Shoot. You know what? Oh, yeah. I'll just put a big old oil absorb pad on there. There we go. Problem solved. Nice and clean. This way, everything gets put down on a nice clean area. All right. Next, so we're going to rotate the crank. Shit, I realize I'm might not have the crank pin piece. However, I'm sure I got something else to hold it to put it in. Well, I know this bad boy is sharp, so let's see. Does this work? Yep. All right. I'll have to use that. Not that I want to. But when I put it back together, you know what? That's a bit frustrating. That I don't have. Because it's just it looks like a freaking. Just looks like a thumbtack. I knew I forgot something. I have a super tiny drill bit that might do the trick instead to lock the tensioner. I do not want to use this gigantic thing. I will show you what I mean in a minute once I figure out which one will fit the best. Not that one, obviously. Alright, I believe that's the smallest one I got. And it fits. Okay. I just need to be careful that that doesn't go flying. Because the tensioner is a pain. So I have, to rotate the crank, I have a large wrench. So, or the ratcheting wrench. And I will rotate it from here. Because it's just easier to just do it from here. Now, just to make my life easier, before I do anything, I know I brought it here. I am going to loosen the cam bolts. Use a 24mm wrench, okay? Because I'm going to need to put phase limiter pins in this so that we don't contact piston the valve. Obviously, that would be a really bad day. This takes some oomph. Now, this is usually one of the places where people put a pin in the camshaft, screw up, and then break them off. So, all right. And another. And there's one other thing I'm going to do before I do this. Let me get them. To make my life easier, now is the time to but loosen the actual cam gear bolts on the face of the cam gear. Okay? It is not a standard Torx. A standard Torx does not fit. Do not use a standard Torx. Okay? Your standard T30 is not correct. You need a Torx Plus. All right, I'm spilling the beans. You have to use a Torx Plus, otherwise you will strip these. If you use a regular Torx that is extremely loose, and you will strip them. There is no spec to retighten these. I usually use about 8 or 9 foot-pounds of torque when I retighten them with a tiny dab of blue thread locker. Again, do not use a standard T30. You will strip the shit out of them. You will be costing yourself hand gears. All right. So that solves that. Now I need to put the locking pins in that. Man, this is why you start running into too many things. All right. I need to just notate what I have done. So 18, loosen cam bolts, loosen cam gear cover bolts. And then to the next step is remove timing components. This means your tensioner, all that other wonderful jazz, and I can put this one bolt, this one back. We don't need this. This was a Honda old. I probably have the cylinder head off and be going back on already. While I'm at it, get them all loose. They're gonna have to come off no matter what. You know, just crack them loose. Honestly, now I'm thinking about it. I don't know why I put the pin locks in. Really don't need to. And everything looks good here. No signs of bad wear. Nothing of that nature. Everything is A-okay. And the rockers that are not under lift feel good. So I really didn't need the. Oh, yeah. So that's the downside to. All right, let me go grab this one for. All right, now. A gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and I know that everything just barely fits in here. However, I need to start. Well, actually, no, I don't need to start because I have that other container. Okay. Oh, I do need that Allen key assembly. I believe that's an M5 on the side there for the tensioner arm. No, actually, it's not. I'm sorry. It's definitely not. It's, is it 6? M6. My apologies. That is an M6 tensioner. What I need to do is remove the actual, not tensioner, the tensioner arm, one of the tensioner arms. I need to remove the actual tensioner. And I can't get in there like that with both pieces. So I'm going to go back to my trusty little 1/4 inch. Give me that back. Yeah, making a mess. Oh, yeah. You know, I just thought about something. I didn't drain the oil. That was mighty slick of me. Because the timing cover, the oil goes almost right up to the edge. Actually, as a matter of fact, it does. And now, officially made somewhat of a mess underneath here. So, note, and I don't know, I do that every time too. Note to self, hey, dummy, don't forget, drain the freaking oil. Drain the oil. Sometimes this thing does not want to come off here. That. Okay. Chris, since you are a good customer, I'm going to give you a gift. But do not over tighten this. It is a magnetic aluminum drain plug. So, Merry Christmas. Should be brand new. Where did I put the wrench underneath? I did. You know what? I'm gonna use this one. Okay. Man, that thing's still draining. Boy. Oh boy. I'll let that sit. Oh. Oh. No, man. You can have a shirt when you come here, though. You're more than welcome to just grab one. It's not like you haven't been a great customer, man. Seriously. As I ruined this shirt today. What did I just do? Oh, there it is. All right, I hear it trickling out. Okay. Now she's a trickle. Oop. Should be good enough. Okay. All right. Oil looks good. I don't see any sparklies there either. Okay, let me get another. Okay. Now. Hey. Okay. Back on track. There. Oil is drained. Now get back to this part before I want to put all these drill bits back. All right. Oh, this right, I already took that out. It's over there. All right. Just. Okay. Now there are three 10mm bolts on the tensioner guide side. Man. Nemia sucks. Where the fuck did that thing go? Dropped a 10mm somewhere. Down on the ground here, on the rail. Fucker. go. I'll get it later. Probably have one. Man, I cannot friggin' get. Where it must be on that. Some friggin' stuck on a stupid rail. Man, this thing is like. There we go. Man, what a pain in the ass. All right. By the way, don't drop bolts. Although it does just happen. But if you do drop them, make sure you got the tools to get them. Now, I don't need to remove that tensioner arm, but if I do remove it, it makes it easier. Well, no, because I get to lay that over later. So now I've got that side off. It's a good idea to remove the chain now. Now, generally, you'll want to make sure she wasn't stretched, but based upon how tight it was between the two cam gears, I know that this was not stretched. So that lets me know. I've done enough of them to know better, to know that. Now, while this is discolored, these timing components, there is no wear. So, and they do not feel brittle. So I do not see a problem with these timing components. Some people will always replace them. You can, but your cost is going to start going up really high. And you have to decide, where is your cost limit that where you decide that, hey, this is too much for what I'm doing, right? Like, hey, I don't want to spend any more than what I'm spending. All right. We have all the timing guides. This one uses that M. It's basically it just rocks on this one. Like I said, sorry, I can't do much. Well, there goes that bolt. Man, call me the bolt dropper or something. I don't know. All right, all those just fit in there. And then I'm going to do something for the actual tensioner. I'm going to put it in another baggie. Now, normally, there is like the Honda gives you this, looks like a friggin' pin for a pin board to put in there. And that's normally what's there. You can use that. Or you just use a small enough drill bit like I did, because I didn't have mine here. Now, back to over here. Now we've got all the timing components off. The next thing to do, you can do this a couple different ways. You can now take the cylinder head out. You can. However, okay, it's really freaking heavy with cams in it. It's heavy. So, I like to take the cams out. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get another box made. Tape. Oh no. No. No way. No way am I out. No way. No effing way. What? You gotta be shitting me. No freaking way am I out of out of tape. Holy shit. Well, that be a first. I am officially out of tape, like the regular tape, which I don't know how the hell that happened because I thought I had like 3 rolls left, but I guess not. I do not remember using the last roll and going, oh, I need a roll of tape. Damn. There. Now, box. Flat rate boxes. Fantastic for this. Okay? Fantastic choice. Get this 6mm off this wrench. There we go. You get off of there. Close. You can get back in there. You can go down there. And man, this really sucks because I had drain pans, extra ones, just for this. It really pisses me off. Really, really, really fucking pisses me off. I guess I'll have to get the other ones. All right, so I'm gonna put the cams on this to let them drain. I knew I had this, but damn, man, I'm really aggravated about my regular drain pans. I don't know where they are, but somebody ganked me for all of them, all but one, because they couldn't find it. That is so, man, I don't even want to get into it, because that is like, God, I probably had like what, $150 worth of just drain pans stolen from me. It's like, that is some meth head, crackhead shit. Okay. For right now, actually, you know what? It usually works to just set them. No, it's not gonna work today. Okay, nope. Don't need. Okay, those can go in the box. Now, oh yeah. Yeah, I know you're going to be fun. Okay. Wow. Yeah. You can tell she never been off. That's tight on the dowels. Even brand new heads sometimes aren't that tight. Oof. You leave the N2 on because this is going to come off as an assembly. All right. Now, you cannot, well, you can, but it's a pain in the ass. You can get this rocker shaft out. I'm going to take the camshaft off, but these cam caps are going to stay on for this one. When I put it back on, I'm probably going to do the same thing. Leave the cam just like this and the rockers and stuff here just like this. Make sure that you're not going to watch. There's a spring load on one of these right here on this one. So you don't want to pop out when you pull that up. So that's where the VTEC, not the VTEC, sorry. That's basically just locates the pin so that this way the pin stays tensioned so that it doesn't engage VTEC. VTEC pops in this way and then locks them all, and there's 3 pins that just slide over. All right, let me get the cam off. I've left them in before, but they're different lengths, but you kind of can't really goof it up. I mean, you could goof it up, but that takes some talent to goof it up. Now, sometimes, get over here. This is pretty normal to see. You'll see a little bit of like, this looks like it's marked, but since you can't feel anything, there's nothing wrong. You don't even need to polish that out. If you feel something there, you might want to try to polish that out. So that's only if you feel something there. So if you feel that there. All right, now. You can actually remove all the exhaust rockers in car. What you do is you slide it this way, remove these 2 or 3. I don't know if it's 2 or 3. Change them, then slide the rocker back this way, and then change this last one over here, which is the most difficult one to do. But you can change these rockers in car. I don't know. I never tried to do the intake rockers in car, but I've done exhaust rockers in car. I was chasing a Ghost. That was a noise from a camshaft design, thinking rockers were messed up. There was nothing wrong with them, and I wasted my time and money doing it. And it was something to do with the way when the car was turned on and actuation. You can see that cam's full of oil. It's dumping oil down in there. All right. Now, let me see. That's it. So now I got to bring the car down and pull the head off. So we need to make some clearing. And the head's actually going to get pulled off in one shot, one video. Yes, I could just take this Put these cams over here. And what I'll do is I'll put some more pinion mat out. And what I'll do is I'll strip the rockers out of the head after I put the car down some. Now the tricky part. I need the car at a height where I can kind of half step over and in. Not leave mounts. Alright, just unlocking the lift now. Alright. This can all go over here for now. Alright, now. Alright. Now, can I get leverage? Not liking that kind of leverage. I normally have that tool cart empty. Oh, see. Empty. Remove cams. Gotta keep remembering the red on this pad. Okay. What I will do is take this part. So I have something to set. Hey, come here, you. Don't be doing that. Where you going? Plug in. Okay, now I need to get 12-point sockets. It was funny. There's a local guy at shop, and I asked him, hey, man, after hours, man, I want to make some money, you know? And told him, I said, I'll pay you cash. Come help me because I'm exhausted from being anemic, you know? And, man, I swear, you can't pay people to get work done. Like, I'm trying to pay people to get work done. And it's just like, it ain't happening. It's like, dude, seriously? All right. Outside in. Rack 'em loose. Dude, that's going to break my ratchet. I need a reducer or something. Give me a minute. I know where it is. Thought I knew. Hold on. Yeah. You know what? Let's just hope that shit don't break. Because I don't know where my reducer is, and I am not traveling all the way up to the shop to go get it. Damn, because it like cracks, and then it's like the stretch of the bolt is not happy. Tell you what, though, if this bad boy be sealed, you can tell the gasket had no problems, man. Because if the gasket had problems, these bolts would not feel as tight. Urgh. I hope that was the bolt and not my ratchet doing that. Oh my God. That really feels like it's going to break. The ratchet. My God, please hold on. Do not break. Please do not fucking break. Please just make it to the last 3 bolts. Do not break the ratchet, please. Do not break the ratchet. Oh, God. Come on, man. One more. Please don't break. Please don't break. Oh. Ever wonder how tight stock head bolts are? Hey, yo. Tight as shit! This is the one under the high pressure pump stand that you cannot get to normally without that piece being off. Oh, that was tight. Okay. God, the smell that comes out of these is the smell from the oil just stenching this sitting there in that hole blocked off, man. These things always smell terrible. Ugh. Phew. Stinky. Close this. Take this and put this elsewhere. And then take the magnet and grab that one head bolt that I couldn't reach by my finger. Okay. All right. Which way do I want it? I usually turn. You know what? Oh, so lucky that it came out so without getting the gasket stuck there like that. Oh, the dowel. Oh, nice. Party. Everything looks nicey nice. Gasket stuck to the head though. And I have to be careful when I lift the head up that it don't. Let go, bitch. Where is the fucking dowel pin? There it is. Aha. Let's make sure that dowel pin stays in the block. Everything looks really good. Very clean. Fuel burning good. No differential between the cylinders. Oh, beautiful. Oh my God, this thing looks like fucking brand new. The cylinder walls still look like brand freaking new, man. Let me just make sure all of them look beautiful. Yeah. Honestly, if anything, it was running a little fat. Could have ran it leaner. If anything. No signs of carbon tracking. Now you will get some peeling of the gasket when you pull it off. This is pretty typical to get some peeling of the gasket when you pull it off. You know, between there, because it's just a shitty area to seal. But you notice there's no black carbon in there. And that's what would be an issue. That's just, there's some of it stuck on the block, some of it stuck to the head. So, by the way, I should mention this in here now, because you guys who stayed around, I'm gonna give you some privileged info. They are halting production on JE Pro Seal gaskets. Just so you know, they are no longer making them. So for those of you interested in that gasket, you better stock up now, because they are not making them anymore. Okay. Now, clean that up. What did I just do with that stupid 19 ratcheting wrench? I rotated the crank, and then I moved around. I showed the gap. Oh, there it is. You just kind of clean up those cylinders again on that one. Wipe them down. Cylinders 1 and 4. That was good. Just drop it. Okay. Alright. So what did that take to remove? 3 hours, 11 minutes minus the turbo. Turbo's like 45 minutes. So about 4 hours. Here's the thing. There's like another 4 hours of cleaning and everything else before it starts to go back again. All right. On to the next part of the list. The actual rest of the cylinder head being removed. So, cams, 1 head bolts. Now, I'm going to do intake rockers. And rocker shaft. Those can all be done in one large bag due to the way that they're made. So, basically, those of you who are still here, there is a 10 millimeter on this rocker shaft. that needs to come out in order to pull the rocker shaft. Also have to do with the 10 millimeter cap on the side of the camshaft here. And while I'm here, because I forgot to take this off earlier, this evac bracket. So I need to write evac bracket. So this is a 10 millimeter on the side here. It's a 10 millimeter Allen head. This blocks off where the rocker shaft gets pushed through. This holds the actual rocker shaft in place to keep it from moving. Then I will use, where'd she go? I was using it earlier. Here. You have to be careful, all right, that you don't go inside the camshaft rocker shaft, because like right now this is inside the camshaft rocker. You can actually end up pushing the oil cap, which is basically the it stops the oil from traveling too far, because these are drilled. I always forgot the intake side is always the one that gives me a headache when it comes down to taking these off. What was it? Where is my rubber mallet? There it is. Gotta tap it with the back end of this from this side, and just nice and light, nice and easy, and work its way through and out. And eventually, the rocker shaft will slide out. Nice and easy. This is going to go in the box with all the camshaft caps. I do need, however, to put some of these pads down. Now, I just take all these. These are not going to matter, because no matter what, I have to lash the valves. So it is not relevant where they go at this time. However, one thing I do want to do is, now that I have that out, reconnect all of the caps to their correct orientation. Where is 3, 2, they have an arrow and a number on top. Arrow facing forward. Oh, wait a minute. 2. Apparently my vision escaped me. All right. Oh, God. Man, when the first time these things ever come off, yeesh. They are something. Okay, there's one. 2. If you ever get confused on the base to top where they go, there are these 2 tabs, okay? The one on the top will always be to the left when looking down, like so. One on the top, this top little tab is to the left of this lower tab. That's how you know top and bottom go together. So if you happen to accidentally separate them, then you know how to get them back to the correct order. So I know somebody's gonna separate them at some point by accident, and you're gonna have no clue. And if you mix up the bottoms with the top and you put them in the wrong order, I promise you, you will tear up the camshaft. you will tear that bad boy up. Now that that's done, I can remove the lower portion of the high pressure pump stand assembly. This should just tap off now. I have no bolts in it. Wow, she's really on there, huh? She's talk about Honda Bond from hell, huh? So this is the one that's been sitting in there for a while. There's no more oil residue left. Like I said, it's a very mild chemical I use, extremely mild. But you see it's super clean on the inside. It just sits there and it's like extremely hot. It's almost like boiling it in water. And what the nice thing is, the Honda Bond comes off really easy afterwards. Like I could just sit there with my fingers and just peel it right on off. And so that's a nice thing. So okay, now that I have all the intake rocker side off, now the exhaust rocker side. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the rockers in with the box with the rocker shafts. Now, it's very easy to tell the difference between two rocker shafts. The intake rocker shaft has a notch in it. See those notches? Those go where the long bolts go there. If you have this in the wrong way, you will run a bolt right into the side of this and destroy it. People have done that many times in the past on B-Series too, because B-Series has the same style where you can end up banging it up. Now, once again, we have a 10 millimeter locking the camshaft into place, and somehow I have misplaced the 10 millimeter. No, I didn't. It rolled underneath it. There we go. But before I continue, I might as well write it down. Step 23. Exhaust, rockers, and shaft. Okay. And then once again, there is a wonderfully large 10 millimeter Allen that blocks off where the axle gets pushed through, where the rocker shaft gets pushed through. And now put this back. I do not need that anymore. Now, if you're swapping over cylinder heads from a bare swap over, what you're going to run into is all these studs will need to come out and get swapped over to your other head. So every stud that's stuck in this thing, you got to take it out and put it on the other head. So just forewarn. Wow, you know what? I'll show you guys something nice in a minute. As soon as I figure out where I put down that darn long extension again. Where did I put you? Long extension that I used to push the rocker shaft out. There we go. Again, make sure, like, see again, this one, fortunately, doesn't have that same issue. Also, this one pushes through a lot easier. Now, you do not want to push any more than one set through at a time. I'll show you why. Because, one, you have the 3 pins to worry about in the rocker shaft. So, there's 1 pin in each one of these. Okay? You make this for those washers there. See, like, you have a pin. Stay open. You have a pin in there, too. You got to make sure that doesn't fall out. And this one, this bad boy, is spring-loaded. And they go in a specific order. there are 4 washers that go on, 1 on each outside and 2 in the middle, so that the rockers aren't rubbing against each other. And then you have the lost motion assembly. This is why I say do 1 of these at a time. Hey, where'd they go? Did I drop them? Oh, I did. Okay. I usually go for the spring-loaded one first. And I collect the washers as I go along to make sure I got all 4. I do. I used to zip tie them together, but yeah, it just actually became more frustration every time I zip tied them together. Oh, see, she just wanted to shoot out there. That one almost shot out. Well, get over here. That's what I'm saying. You want to do them 1 at a time, so you notice in case they end up wanting to shoot out, you know. And I find it interesting that I always find some type of like manual writing, like inside this head. I don't know, it's hard to show you, but there's literally somebody hand wrote the numbers 89. Why? Who the hell knows? Now, the reason I said these were a real big pain in the car is because the high pressure pump stand is on here, cannot come off in the car because you can't do this whole rocker assembly here. You cannot take it off in the car. So this washer is like, you gotta put it in while sliding this through, line it up, and then there's this whole big stand in the way. You gotta somehow line it up, and your finger doesn't go all the way in there, so you can't line it up from the other side. What a pain in the ass! I'll tell you that. Done it, but it can be done. Oh, see, look, washer just wanted to shoot out there. So let me put that washer right there. There we go, and everything's there. Now, what I need to do, where's my, here, I need to write on the bag, number 23. Not because I don't know about the rocker shafts, but because this is the specific pin and cap. Not that the cap matters, but the locating pin, or I should say the locking pin. You can only put this in one way. You cannot put this in wrong. So you can only put it in one way. So if that locking pin goes down, you can only put it away. Now the head is officially stripped bare. However, she still has a bunch of oil in there. These bolts are useless garbage. All right. Here's the oil. It's just chilling on top of this head. I'm going to try to flip this thing over. Don't need the old gasket. Please don't make a huge mess. Please don't make a huge mess. Other than seeing only seeing a little bit of like surface rust here on the valves, and that's probably because those were open with the turbo off for a while. Some of the valves were open, but everything else looks really good here. You can see this has never been milled. I can see the factory lines. Let me wash my hands real quick with something so I can grab my computer and show you. Pretty, actually, interesting. Why is somebody, oh, wait, hold on. New Zealand? I can't afford calls from New Zealand. I don't know who would be calling from New Zealand. All right. That's the problem. I didn't realize the phone was on silent by accident. And then how am I supposed to answer that when my hand's full of grease? That's why I tell everybody leave a message and text. That's why I say everybody text, man, because, like, if you text, I can get back to you. But if you just call and get pissed off that I don't answer because my hands are full of dirt and grease, I don't know what to tell you. See, you can see little marks, little, like, scrape marks, and that's actually factory. So, yeah, man. Well, yeah, I know Kelford's in New Zealand, but why the hell would they be calling me? I don't know. I guess I'll call back, but I don't think it's... I doubt it's Kelford. Oh, it is. Yeah, how you doing? This is John Pierre. I missed a phone call. Oh. Okay. Well, yeah, and sometimes my hands are full of dirt and grease, you know, so, yeah, so.
Right. You're busy enough. Hopefully you've received some of their camshafts finally.
They're supposed to, they're in Charleston right now, which is like, it's like a few hours away, so they should be here tomorrow. The only thing I had in the order, right, was that I had asked Flynn to switch one of the 279As to a set of 279Bs. And I don't know if that was done because they also was listed as 279As. And then also one intake camshaft, just one intake of the camshaft stage one was to be shipped because I'm supposed to test a stage one intake with a stage two exhaust. So,
yes, I believe that definitely happened. That's whether the B's happened. That's another question.
Ooh.
I can really check your invoice though.
Because they all said 279A in the tracking. And my original invoice was a 279A, but I did ask them and say, hey, just verified. And even before they were shipped, I sent them a list of what was ordered and wrote in there, hey, switch to 279B.
Okay. You've got 4 A's, 1 A intake, and a set of B's.
I was supposed, wait, oh, and a set of B's? So that's 5 in total?
Yes.
Okay, that must be Matthew's. What? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, 5 sets in total and 1 single.
Yeah, that must mean Robert is coming in with my other customer stuff. So, yeah, Robert had his shipped here too. No, it didn't. So, no, that's right. I'm sorry. Man, my brain is like hogwash today. So, oh my.
We're good. Done that correctly?
Yeah, 1 set of B's, the rest are A's, and 1 extra A intake cam. Yep.
Yeah,
and a set of springs. And a set of springs, which I saw in there.
Two sets of springs.
I got 1 set already.
2 been shipped.
Well,
Okay.
Well, we'll figure it out. I'll just maybe keep them on the shelf or something.
Yep.
So,
yeah, no problem.
unless I gotta double check my orders and I'm wrong. Unless I'm wrong about my orders, I don't know. Let me just double check the orders tomorrow. So, because there's quite a few.
No problem.
So, all right. Well, appreciate it.
I have a question for you on the K20C4. Have you seen much interest in those?
No. Well, yes and no, right? Yes, because people want to put them in there, but the problem is that, well, one, the it's a totally different cam, right? On I don't know, and the other issue is that there's no fuel system. There's no fuel system components for that. You could make one, but I don't know what people would do with it, and I don't know if it can be tuned on the software available. Couldn't answer you on that one.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so it's all an unknown at this point.
Correct.
I've got one customer sent us some cams, so I've seen the difference, and it would be a pretty easy change for us in terms of our model for the exhaust cam to get to work. It's just whether, how much sort of market there is for it. But if it hasn't been developed yet, it's still a ways away, I guess.
Yeah, I would think that one of the things is that there's no like 5mm lobe for that fuel pump, which would help, but it still doesn't solve the problem of injector, right? That still doesn't solve that.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately, I've had contacted some other companies many times in the past, and they just don't. They'll say yeah, and it's always put on the back burner. And I got hammered by a lot of the guys that want the C4, and there was nothing I could do. So, unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to doing this 1.5 version, but it's going to go into something a little bit special. It's going to go into a custom. Instead of having the piston shape that's on there, it's going to be a flat top instead. Yeah. Well, I ran into some problems with high RPM, high boost, and it just wouldn't. It just started doing weird things with ignition timing, and the mixture, and I could see pooling over by the exhaust, where the little pockets are for the exhaust. I could see pooling over there. Basically, when I pulled the piston out, it was clean over there. So definitely running into some weird, funky mixture problems at high RPM. Plus, I also have port injection on top of it, so flat top is going to be the way to go.
Yeah.
And a little bit less compression because 10.5 to 1, wasn't too happy. It was too much.
Getting up there.
Yeah.
Especially when you got some weird mixtures going on. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was so insensitive, all the way from like a 12. Well, we'll use AFR for reference. From 12.2 to like an 11.5, it didn't change anything. It was so insensitive up there, and even going that much richer, I was still losing timing up there. And I went to a bigger exhaust housing, I was still losing timing up there in the RPM. So something weird is going on with the air. Yeah. So, and it's more like at a certain horsepower air volume where it becomes a problem. So, well, I'll figure it out. If a flat top don't work, then I'm going to have to change something else in the cylinder head. So I already made a change now as it is for the airspeed to actually slow it down because it's somehow too fast up there.
Yeah.
So I made some changes in the head for that. And we'll see what that does. So that's going to be on the next monster. And it's probably, do you know anybody that does copper head gaskets?
What was it, sorry?
Do you know anybody that does copper head gaskets?
No, I don't, sorry.
It was worth an ask. Just trying to figure out, copper gasket and firing it. And so that'll hold forever. And then send it. Yeah, but even with straight, but with straight, I think definitely an air control problem because even with full ethanol instead of a mix, and mixing in 30% methanol, still couldn't get any more ignition timing. So yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like something weird's going on, right? Makes fantastic power for 36 pounds, made 808 uncorrected with like no dyno correction factor on a jet. So really good power, but then after that, it's like you hit this wall. You just start hitting a wall.
Yeah, you can't do anything with timing.
Yeah, it starts disappearing. So, all right. Well, this will work. I appreciate the call. Is there anything else?
No, that's it. Obviously, we've got plenty of stock finally, so
yeah.
Start looking after you in a timely manner, other than ordering in March and delivering in almost the next year.
Yeah. Thankfully, my customers have been.
We're on top of it now, so.
All right. Well, thankfully, my customers have been very gracious and patient. So.
Thankfully, yeah, we're very happy about that.
So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for reaching out. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll forward you an email so you've got my contact, and start dealing that way. I know you go through that way most of the time anyway, but.
No, I got it. I'm going to go direct from now on. I'm going to go from direct from now on because Midway keeps charging me tax when they shouldn't. They still haven't fixed it. So yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. Cheers, John.
Yeah. All right, take care. Bye. So it was Kelford. Holy shit. All right. So I guess I'll figure out what to do with the extra set of springs and retainers. Whether I just pay for another set or what, we'll see. Okay. I don't know. I can't really pick the head up, but you guys saw everything now at this point. There's not really much anything else to see. Let me see how dirty the ports are. Or the valves. I don't want to take it apart right now, only because if I take it apart right now, the problem I'm going to run into is I don't want to deal with this little keepers. So if I take it apart right now and I'm dealing with little keepers, they might shoot out. It's dark. I don't want to lose them at this point. So that be all for the evening. Cylinder head be off. Did not expect to get this far. Definitely, as you can tell, I was not rushing by any means. You know, just kind of, slow and steady. And, now you can literally find out, how to remove the cylinder head with most of the steps, and you get an idea. I mean, unfortunately, couldn't do perfect angles, but I give the best descriptions I could. And I thank everybody for tuning in. It's one hell of a long live, but not the longest one I've ever done, because I did a lower end assembly, just like full, whole ring gap and whole 9, literally 4 hours. So basically about 3.5 hours to pull a cylinder head if you've done them before, without beating your head against the wall to get there. And that's it. Obviously I got a lot of cleaning up to do here. Put all this stuff away, and again, I'll see you on the next live stream.